Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started with this 30-minute expert series. My name is Jeremy Onisco. I'm the program manager here at B2W Software, and I've got our dedicated implementation and training specialist, Mr. John Sheehan, on the call with me. I also have Mr. John Kane. He's our B2W Maintain product manager, joining us for this short webinar this afternoon. And what we're going to be talking about today is a new feature that we're very excited to announce in terms of general availability at this time, and that is the new repair request workflow feature. So those of you that are joining the webinar this afternoon, you're all on the email distribution list that I manage. So again, glad you're able to join us today, but you're also well aware that this was a feature that was put out in release 8.0 earlier in February. So purpose of this webinar here is to kind of take you through the ins and the outs of configuring your template for use with the new repair request workflow feature, and to give you kind of an end-to-end demonstration of what that configuration looks like, as well as what it looks like to generate those repair requests in B2W Maintain. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and shift over to John Sheehan, and I'm going to have you start to share your screen for me, John.
I am logged into a B2W demo tenant, and what we're going to do is take a look at setting up our template to enable some of these rules here. So what I'm going to do is I have a template already stood up here, and we're going to work from an existing draft, but you could start one from scratch as well here. And we're going to grab one particular one here that I've set up. And this will load us right in there. So once this loads up, we are going to see a new button enabled in the top right side, but left side of this template toolbar here called Workflows. And I'm going to open this up, and this is what we'll work through today. So the first thing we're going to do here is switch this from off to on if you've not used this yet. And then we're going to come down to edit workflow. And three main steps within here. We're going to set up some general information that is required in order to send this over. Then we'll work through configurations and some conditions as well. So let's start on this first page here. There are three fields that are going to be necessary for this connection. And really two are required, and that's going to be equipment name and the date. So somewhere on your template, we are going to need to specify a date field as well as an equipment field. I additionally would recommend requiring these questions to ensure that your users, when filling them out, don't inadvertently miss these, get hung up anywhere. So I'd go ahead and make sure those are required. This equipment field, you'll notice, is auto-populated. So you have a couple options on how equipment will be placed in here. It could be something like a drop-down list, such as in this example we have for our job name. And as many of you might be using in the properties, there's the options for group and subgroup. So if your group is set to equipment, that will satisfy this requirement as well. So now that we have those set up, we're going to jump back into the workflow. I'm going to turn this back on and go to edit. This is a drop-down list here. So if there was more than one of these questions, I could go ahead and specify exactly which ones I need to. This bottom one here is specifying for our notes field, and that's this one in the back right corner here. It's also just called notes. And again, just for a refresher too, these are the unique names of these components. Once we have these three set, we're going to move over to configuration. And this is going to control how your end user who's filling out this form is going to interact with this. And the first thing we're going to set is whether or not they're going to configure their own problem codes per condition. If we want them to decide what the problem code will be, then we will turn this on. If we want to hide this from that end user, then we'll use the second option, so hide problem. I'm going to turn it on just to show the full functionality, and I'll call out where that would be hidden if we use that first option. Next is going to dictate how we want to handle photos going from Inform over to Maintain. And we have two options here. First of which is to allow the form filler to select photos and videos from the form. So if you already have a media component here, such as this one I'm hovering over, when you select or add your photos to this, the end user is going to be able to pick, select, or unselect any of those photos. So they're not stuck with all of them or none of them. It'll be up to them. So we can turn that on. Secondly is allow the form filler to take photos and videos. Maybe your inspection doesn't already have photos. You could add one in, or you could turn this option off on here. No right or wrong here. This is going to come down to personal preference. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to leave these both on just to show you the full functionality when we fill this out. So just again, for recap, the top one will utilize existing photos within the media component. The second one will add in a second set of options to add one specifically for this request. Next, we'll move over to setting our conditions. This is going to function very similarly to creating custom alerts within Informs. So I'm going to hit this plus icon after I have a new condition. I will mention you can have as many conditions as you need for this particular form. And so I'm going to open this up and we're just going to define this. So let's take a walk through here. First, we're going to name the description of the repair request. So let's call this brakes need repair. And these are totally custom. You can add in whatever you need here. And then we're going to define what is going to trigger this. So very similar to those custom alerts. So we're going to find our question within here. So again, these are the unique names of the questions below here. And I'm going to grab this first one, brake operation, equals or does not equal, and I'm going to hit damaged here. So now anytime someone goes to complete a form and this question is equal to damage, this will trigger a repair request at this point. Below here is controlling type, priority, and problem code for this request. I'm going to leave this one as these defaults for allow, and we're going to set up a second one that'll specify exact ones for this. So the default here is to allow the form filler to select one of these types here. And these are going to be existing types already within Inform. And I'm going to circle back to which ones to pick here in just a second here. I just want to go through 4 and 5. Priority, high, low, medium, and then problem code, again, just whatever your problem codes are within here. So for this one, let's leave just as okay, and then we'll hit add new condition. Let's say we want to add one more rule here. So let's say gauge is broken. So again, I'm going to come down here, find my gauges, equals damage. And say I knew exactly what type I wanted this to generate, I could go ahead and insert answers for some or all of these. So then the form filler, they won't have any choices at this point. This is created for them. They won't be able to, it'll already be filled out for them. So one thing we might look at setting up, and I'm going to flip over to John, the other John here, just to talk through potentially adding in a new naming convention for those coming from Inform.
When you're setting up your repair request type in Maintain as part of your implementation, it might be a good idea to think about differentiating between repair requests that have come in maybe from the field or from track or a mechanic on the tablet from ones that are actually coming in from Inform. And a good way to do that is to use the type. Usually people will put a prefix in front of the type, and they'll have a separate set of those set up in Maintain, where in the drop-down you can see you've got corrective maintenance, and then you've also got corrective maintenance again, but it starts with INF, meaning Inform. This way you're able to consolidate your reporting, and to accurately see which repair requests came in from Inform and which ones came in from the field or from the desktop in Maintain.
All right, great, thank you. And we'll take a look at how those look within Maintain once we send this up. So at this point, I've set up my second role. This one we took a little different strategy where we filled this out for the user. I'm gonna hit OK here. And you could continue to add, as I mentioned, as many conditions as you need. If you need to take one out, open up with this plus icon, and in the bottom left, there's this delete condition here. Once I'm done, I'm gonna hit the save button, hit save again, and I'm going to publish this form. Again, anytime we make changes to a template in Inform to have those stick for the end users, gonna hit that publish, and that pushes out these changes to our end users to utilize here. So next, we're gonna take a look at filling this form out. Before I jump over there, while we're on the screen, any questions on setting up these workflows? We'll take a pause here and we'll circle back to at the end as well.
Hey, John, this is Jeremy. I am monitoring the questions panel here. So if anyone does have a question or if there's something you would like John to circle back to and demonstrate this again, go ahead and just give me a couple of words there and we'll work off of that.
All right, I don't see him coming in. So we will go over to the form.
Hang on a second here, John. We do have one question. Can they override a condition description if it needs to be?
Let's open this back up and we'll go to workflows. So in step one here, is that what we're referencing?
I think that's what the question is getting at. So the
All right.
ability
Yeah,
to
let's take a look at that when we go ahead and we fill out the form. So let's actually jump right over there and we'll take a look at that. So I'm going to come over to fill out a form. And we're just going to quickly search for that. And I'm going to start my form just like we generally would. Properties here, so form name, group. I'm going to pick my piece of equipment here. And I'm going to hit save. I'll see that get auto-populated through here. I want to make sure I hit that date and time here. And I know I have a few other required questions, so I'm just going to select these as well. And what I want to bring your attention to is this corner right here. We'll notice that is blank here. So as I start to fill this out, if I were to select something that is going to trigger a repair request, we're going to get a new button here. And we set it up for EMS gauges as well. So we'll see that flip from 1 to 2, indicating that there is a repair request. So this would do this for as many that were potentially triggered here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to actually cancel that. I'm going to add a photo. And we'll put that in here. And we'll just rotate that. And let's say I'm done with this form now. I'm going to hit complete. Before this form is completed, I, in a sense, get intercepted by this pop-up. And this is for our repair request. This is going to insert the piece of equipment that was auto-populated here, the date that came in from that date time, the description here. So I can't override the description within here. It is set to whatever you as an admin, that template administrator, has inserted there. Additionally, I have put in, for this particular one, corrective maintenance, priority low, and the problem code. If I were to, and just to skip through to show some functionality, take a look. This was for the brakes here. I left this open-ended. So these top ones are still locked by what are set up, but now the end user has free reign to insert whatever they need to go ahead and put in here. So they have access to all of these here. Notes here, so I can type in my own notes per each request. I'm actually going to save as a draft. So let's say I got to this point and I wanted to save what I had done, but I wanted to make some changes to my form. So we'll hit save as draft here, and let's actually add in a note here. And now let's hit complete again. What we're going to see is these notes get auto-populated. This note field might not apply for each repair request, so feel free to delete that out if you're not going to use it. So maybe for the gauges, we're not going to use that, but we are going to put in glass is broken on gauge. And now let's just take a look at that next one here, and auto-populated in for here, might not add any more notes here. So takeaway here, notes will auto-populate off the field. This field is editable by the end user. To bring your attention down below for attachments. So I mentioned that I made this the most wide open of options, so we could take a look at it. So this first one here, select attachments from form. This is going to look at whatever attachments are within here, and it'll have a check if we're going to use it. If you don't wish to use it, unselect it, and we won't use it. If we needed to take a photo on the fly, we could grab this, and this will work the same manner that uploading it within the form will. So I can pull it in, I could add a description here. And we'll go to next here and select photo from form. So I'll leave this photo up, do a double check. Everything looks good to me. So at this point, I'm going to hit confirm. The form is going to finish completing, and we'll get a pop-up saying your form successfully completed. 2 repair requests were successfully sent to B2W Maintain. So I'm going to hit OK here. And now we're going to switch gears, and we're going to go over to B2W Maintain. If I did want to take a look at that form too, so I could come to forms, and that will reside just as any other completed form would right within here. So I can open this up within here. So now changing gears over to Maintain. And I'll pull this up. And what I'm going to do is just have a filter here, and let's sort this. And I'm actually just going to set this to today. And I sent one earlier, and we'll take a look at the 2 from what we just did here, 72, 71. So we see type, as we referenced before, Inform repair. So we do know this came from Inform in this case. We're going to select that. We have our problem code, priority, notes from here, brakes are vibrating. Below here, the attached image. So this will go ahead and open up for me. And I'll just let that load on the side. So we got my photo here. Additionally, too, is go-to form. So I'm going to open this up, and this is just doing a security check for me. So I'm just logging into Inform here. Every form within Inform has its own unique ID. So this does allow us to link straight back to this particular inspection from which this was generated. Taking a look at 1071, so this is from that same exact form, just generating 2 different requests within here. At this point, I could hit edit within here, and I could change that request description. So although when I was within Inform here and I hit my repair request, this is locked for me from a user standpoint here, I can change that if I needed to within Maintain here. All right, that concludes the demo portion of this. I would open the floor for questions again, as well as for Jeremy and or John, if you wanted to add any additional comments as well. Thanks.
Terrific. Thank you, John. I've been responding to a few questions here that have been coming in from a couple of very familiar names. One question I just want to circle back to, and I know you did just answer it, John, but it had to do with the description. So just a important distinction there. The description's not able to be edited when creating the repair request in Inform, but once that does get sent to Maintain, that is where it can be edited. So that was a specific question, so I just wanted to make sure that we touched on that. There's another, it's more of a good comment here and something that we definitely want to note for folks. And it is worth mentioning that the timestamp component type, that won't work for your date when you're setting up in your repair request configuration. So when you're back on, and maybe John, you can show this in the template design for me, and I can talk to it. When you're in the repair request and B2W Maintain properties, it's that first general information needed tab. So equipment, right, and you're looking for your unique name for your piece of equipment, and then date. That's going to need to come from a date component. It cannot be the timestamp component that's supported. So that's not to say that it is a hard and fast restriction. It's just that's the way that we are working with repair requests at this time. As always with features in this product, we're going to look to evolve and build out the feature as time progresses. So that's also just another plug for you folks to continue to keep the dialogue open with us and continue to use that ideas portal on our community page. So hope that helps. Looking through just kind of in real time here, we've got a couple more questions come in that I haven't been able to respond to. So let's see. There was a question about an Inform alert being sent, stating that a repair request has been sent via Inform. We don't have that sort of a system notification built in just yet, but I'm thinking that there's probably a good use case there. So the individual that asked that question, I've already responded to and said that we should probably chat offline and maybe just get a few more details and kind of talk through where there may be some benefit with that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Is there a way to make it so the operator can submit the form but only have the supervisor do the submission? So at present time, the person who's filling out the form owner, is going to be the person who's going to be completing the repair request and making that submission. So today, it would be possible for an operator to fill out the form, and at the moment that they're going to complete that form, they could hand the tablet off to a supervisor, and that supervisor could finish out the repair request to make those specific submissions. But that's the only way that that would work present time. Okay, just bear with me here, just running through some questions here and seeing what I can help answer for you. Okay, so here's a good comment here, kind of as a follow-on to what we talked about with an alert. This individual says that their workaround for the alert function was to add a yes or no required question. Quote, are repairs required? If yes, then the alert is fired to the fleet manager. So thank you for that. definitely that is a solution wherever possible and where it's convenient. We do like building in these radio button components in the case that we're looking for some sort of a binary response, a go, no go, yes, no sort of response. Boy, that really makes it easy to create a custom alert based on just a simple criteria. So John's got a example of what that could look like on the table there highlighted.
Jeremy, one other question that came in pertains really
Yes.
to Maintain. That's in regards to how you would designate a request as an inform request. And a suggestion was made that you could use a description to just label it inform-request, which I think is a great approach. Typically, your shop manager or someone other designated is actually triaging the repair requests that come in to make sure they're complete, to make sure the information is there. So when they do go and add that to work order and get it into the system and in a mechanic's hands, he's got everything he needs to get that work done. So whatever you want to do, you can use the type field, you can use the description, whatever works for your business. So you have a little flexibility there.
Terrific. Thank you, John. Okay, I think last question here, and I hope that means I've been able to answer all of these so far. Does it pull across for requested by using whomever is filling out the form in Inform? I think that this question is getting at the owner of the form. So whoever's filling it out in Inform, does that information get pulled over and populated into the repair request? So I'm thinking this is along the lines of ownership. Person who submitted that question, if you can maybe just give me a quick yes, no, if I'm on track here, and I'll kind of keep cruising. Okay, we got a quick yes.
Jeremy, I think what they're getting at is there actually a way to see who requested the repair request. In other words, who filled out the form and designated this as a repair that's needed. I think that's where the flow of the question is coming from.
Okay, great, thank you. So, yeah, correct, John. Okay, so we have what we can see in Maintain right now is where John has file attachments added by is just simply system administrator. So that's the account he's logged into Maintain with. We're not passing the Inform owner with the repair request into Maintain, but it sounds like just based on the ask here that that may be a useful piece of information. I'll circle back with the individual who asked this question, and we'll talk in further detail.
One way you could double check, provided you do have an Inform license, is there is this link to the form, which you could open up and take a look at the actual form that triggered this request here. So that would be one way of taking a look here.
You could also ask the requester to actually add their name to the notes if you wanted to. That way it's easily readable in there.
Yep, that's another great solution is right within either the notes field within here, or when they filled it out, there's also that additional notes field as well.
Okay, last scan here through the questions. I think we got at everything. We'll have, like I said, a couple of follow-ups to solicit a little bit of additional detail from a few folks. Like I said, this is a very large feature. This is something that the Inform team has been working on now for, boy, it's been going on about 8 months. It's a tremendous feature for the product. Behind the scenes, it's been absolutely an enormous development effort. So we're very proud of the development team and where we're at today, and looking forward to building on top of that. So Again, if I can make just another plug for the ideas portal on the B2W community site, it's definitely a great location for providing us some direct feedback, whether positive or negative, and feedback for things that you would like to see. So always looking forward to seeing that information. I like seeing that we had a nice attendee group here today. We're just a little over our 30-minute mark, so I'm just going to pause at that and say thank you again to everyone for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Thank you to John Kane, our B2W Maintain product manager, for jumping on this webinar with us. Thank you to John for giving us that end-to-end demo. If you have any questions, you all have my contact information as well as our 24/7 support. So thank you, and that's the conclusion of our webinar. Have a great day.